I just got done watching the first game of the 2025 college football season. Iowa State defeats Kansas State 24-21. You'll be hard-pressed to say that coaching didn't win this game. Iowa State and Kansas State were both extremely aggressive on fourth down. And I will never blame a coach for going for it on fourth down. Kansas State's decision to go for it on 4th and 1 from their own 30-yard line is a decision that I have no issue with. It's 1 yard. If your offense can't pick up 1 yard, they don't deserve to be on the football field. You see, it's funny how everybody's coming at Chris Kleiman for going for it on fourth down, being overly aggressive and certain situations during this game. But Iowa State's coaching staff was just as aggressive as what Kansas State staff was. The only difference is that Iowa State was able to better execute when they decided to go for it compared to Kansas State, who just kind of got screwed over by an inch. They say football is a game of inches, and that's literally how small they came up when it came to maybe flipping this game, because that fourth down stop for Iowa State ultimately is what won them this game, because then they proceeded to go up by 10, capitalizing off that stop, getting a touchdown. You can say that although Chris Kleiman was extremely aggressive, the decision-making wasn't the issue. The execution is what lost this game for Kansas State. Iowa State was the better team when it came to executing. At the end of the day, you have to roll the dice in a lot of these situations. You can't afford to be conservative in certain moments when you know that your team maybe might not get an opportunity like that again to possibly control the outcome of the game. You can say that Matt Campbell going for it on that 4th and 3 on Iowa State's final drive instead of kicking the field goal was just as risky as Kansas State going for it on 4th and 3 from their own 30. Why not take the points, be up a touchdown, and force Kansas State to have to drive the length of the field to win the game? I don't have an issue with that decision either. I'd rather win the game in the hands of my offense versus having to trust the field goal kicker, because these kickers, you can just never trust them, no matter how reliable they may be. Kansas State just wasn't able to come through in the big moments in this game that they needed to. I felt that this was an evenly played game by both teams. It started out very sloppy. You had a bunch of turnovers. Both teams had 4 turnovers in this game, and a few of them came when they had ample opportunity to score. In the second half, though, Iowa State, you can tell the advantage that they had when it came to their coaching staff. Matt Campbell is one of the more underrated coaches in college football. He's been offered several big-time jobs, and he's turned them all down because he is comfortable at Iowa State. He may have a few down years, but when Iowa State has an experienced team and they're able to retain a lot of their staff, they always end up having good seasons. You saw it last year when they finished runner-ups in the Big 12. This year, they very much could end up winning this conference again. Nobody's really talking about how good Iowa State is. Kansas State, they still are a pretty solid team. The season isn't over for them after this loss, but you know, I don't question the preparation. I just question Kansas State's ability to execute in this game. It just really was a game that was decided by just a few yards, a few inches. If Kansas State was able to stop Iowa State on that 4th and 3 and they win that game, then everybody's praising Chris Kleiman in Kansas State. And then everybody's criticizing Iowa State for not taking the points, deciding to roll the dice. But it all comes down to execution. If you execute, nobody's criticizing the decision. Shoot, I thought that Iowa State was making a mistake not using their timeouts before the first half and trying to put some more points up on the board. But, that's a situation when actually being conservative paid off for Iowa State, because you could easily criticize that. You're leaving an opportunity off the field to go up in halftime with the lead. But I guess Matt Campbell said, with how sloppy we've been in the first half, we just need to go into the locker room and recoup. We need to compose ourselves. There's still a lot of ball game to be played. Kansas State was actually coaching to dominate the game. And, it just really was the fact that they just couldn't come through in certain situations, man. Overall, it was a very good game. It just really came down to a few fourth down stops, some really aggressive coaching on both sides. Ultimately, Iowa State won, man. And I think that Matt Campbell was the sole reason why they mainly were able to win this game, and how well they were able to execute on offense.